Hello and welcome to Recovery Based on Personality. Have you ever heard of those like paint by numbers? Well, this is going to be recovery by numbers. We use something called the Enneagram, and the Enneagram is an old personality typing system. You know, like Myers-Briggs or DISC or some of those other ones that you may have taken or heard about before, but it's probably older than those because this is really one of the original personality tests. And the reason why we love the Enneagram is because it's not just about what people do, but why people do it. What are those key motivations, those underlying desires and concerns and trigger points and strengths? And that is so helpful to the recovery process, because if you can understand who someone really is, you can do such a better job of finding their pathway to recovery. It's about understanding people as individuals and matching them and family with the right recovery program. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do, if you don't know already, is decide what Enneagram type you are. And this goes whether you are the family member or the person in recovery or thinking about getting in recovery. So below this video, you should find a link or a button or an attachment where you can download or take a look at the 9 Enneagram types. We use something called the narrative way of coming up with your Enneagram type. So you're going to read through these 9 paragraphs. You're going to decide which one sounds the most like you. And this may take a little trial and error. In fact, most people have a hard time getting it down to 1 right away. They usually can get it down to 2 or 3. But don't worry, there are many other resources out there to help you. Now, I'd like you to start your Enneagram assessment with these paragraphs. You can go online and take lots of free multiple choice assessments, but sometimes the problem with those multiple choice assessments is that when you read, if you have to force choice A, B, C, or D, you're going to read those and you're going to think, well, none of those apply to me. Or you're going to judge those words and you're going to pick the word that you think sounds better rather than the word that's really you, because it's just hard to look at those objectively. So go ahead and do the paragraphs first, and then if you want to, as a secondary measure or to help you narrow it from there, you can go online and take a look at some of those stuff, do some of those multiple choice and all that kind of stuff. Now, I think you really are going to love this system because it's going to help you understand your strengths and weaknesses and how to apply them to the family recovery process. And to be honest, it's just kind of fun. Kind of like doing it. There's no good types or bad types. Each type has positives and negatives. We know what the types of all of us in our office are. If we ever hire somebody or bring on an intern, we type them. It's a part of our everyday operation and language. And when people call me, new clients call me or new families call me, one of the first things I want to know is, tell me about the person. Tell me about yourself. What are they like? What are they good at? What are their strengths like? What are they like before the addiction? Because that tells me so much information. Addiction pretty much looks the same, but in order to give you the pathway to recovery, to help someone go from being in the pit of addiction to getting their life back, I need to know more about who they are. What are the strengths that I'm working with? What are the buttons and the pitfalls and the roadblocks? So the way I got this all laid out for you is I've got each of the 9 types. There are 3 videos for each type. There's the main video that just talks about the general characteristics of that type. And then there's the addiction point of view. So there'll be a video for each personality type on addiction and recovery for that personality type, and there will be a video for the family members. So that means if you're a type 1, you'll see in the type 1 category the general characteristics of type 1, type 1's in addiction and recovery, and type 1's as a family member. And each one is like that. So there are actually 27 short videos in here. Don't worry, you don't have to look at all of those videos. You just need to narrow it down to the important key players in your situation. So you may want to look at what your type is, what your family member's type is, whoever the key players. Once you can figure out those types, then you can start tying it together and come up with a good recovery plan. Now, I've got all those videos made for you, but it is just seriously the tip of the iceberg of this whole Enneagram and how far you can take it and how useful it can really be. So I am going to give you tons of other resources and books and websites to go along with the information that I'm giving you. Now, much of the information that I give you in those videos, the ones especially about each type in addiction and recovery and each type as a family member, that comes from our experience with dealing with people in addiction and their families over a bunch of years in my office. So I'm not sure you'll find all of that information in the book. That's from our own personal experience and working with each one of these types and sort of seeing how that process goes over a long period of time. All right, it's time to jump in there and figure out what your Enneagram type is.